So, my group did our presentation on Chapter 13, Career Development Interventions in Higher Education. I'm Rachel Mintz, and I'll be starting off. We also got Molly Hendrick, Paige Gabriel, and Allison Barnes. Okay, so the changing landscape of higher education. This is looking at community college. So, textbook said that there have been rising rates of community college enrollment. The Pew Research Center in 2009 reported that 3.1 million young adults, or 10.9% of all 18 to 24-year-olds, had chosen to enroll in community college. Within a year, that number had risen to 3.4 million students, or 11.8% of all 18 to 24-year-olds. Also, community college enrollments are considered counter-cyclical. This means that the rates tend to rise as the economy worsens. So, a main reason for this is that community colleges are less expensive than four-year institutions. They average at $6,750 a year compared to $9,800 a year for a four-year public college, and $21,240 a year for a four-year private college. Another reason for this is that community colleges offer university transfer programs, technical programs, job training programs, basic skill programs, and special interest programs of study, which they appeal to an ever-increasing broad range of students. For this reason, many people believe that community colleges should be free and universal in the United States. So next, looking at four-year universities, found some statistics. Many college students enrolled at four-year universities emerged from high school experiences in which they received minimal career development assistance. For these students, navigating the tasks of selecting a college major and identifying potential occupations is difficult. So, only 19% of students enrolled in a four-year bachelor's degree at a non-flagship college actually graduated in the 4 years. So, 59% of students who enter college and universities graduate in 6 years, and only 63% of students who enroll in a four-year university will earn a degree. This shows that many students are not prepared for what they encounter at a college or university. So, what are the reasons that they attend college in the first place? So, survey results show that 87% of first-year college students attend college to be able to get a better job, and 75% report that they chose to attend to make more money. All right, so now the evolution of career development interventions in higher education. So, preceding the current date approaches to career services in higher education was a system of service delivery that was primarily dependent on the efforts of professors who provided mentoring and placement assistance to selected students. So, this was very much a privilege. These services essentially confined to a professor mentoring a student prodigy. Job placement was the main focus of this career assistance, and it was definitely a male-dominated activity. The rate of success depended upon the professor's context and status in the field, so not many people got this. And then commercial employment agencies. In the early 1800s, commercial employment agencies offered placement services to graduates from teacher training programs. So this was nearly 200 employment agencies in the U.S. As enrollments in higher education increased, placement offices were created in university settings to provide all students with placement assistance. And in 1919, Yale University established a placement office to provide vocational guidance to students and to match them with employment positions during the academic year. So more of the evolution of this, these initial efforts at Yale University, as well as the growing influence of the vocational guidance movement pioneered by Frank Parsons, which we learned about a little earlier in the semester, contributed to the growing interest of students and employers in placement assistance in the early 1900s. So employment offices or placement bureaus were instituted on campuses throughout the U.S. These offices were combined with efforts of faculty, other college and university student personnel, officials, and alumni who sought to identify employment opportunities for students. This focus on placement services eventually resulted in the separation of placement offices from other student affairs functions, more focused on student development. So, the career placement officers in these offices came from a variety of different backgrounds, but they were often linked to business somehow. The students were matched to the requirements of commerce, industry, and professions based on careers developed through the college experience. Services provided by placement officers emphasize job search skills. Then in the late 1950s, 60s, a shift occurred which reflected an expanded perspective of career services, which moved beyond the focus of placement to a development perspective of career planning. This included interventions to help students engage in systematic career planning. So currently, there's no single type of counseling center or career development placement center. In some cases, colleges and universities, counseling centers embrace the full range of career services. In others, they don't have any. So they did a survey, and the results from 963 institutions led researchers to identify 5 major approaches used in higher education for delivering career services. The first was a macro center. This is a broad range of services, including career and personal counseling, testing, and special functions such as training and consultation, with some advising services that they offer. Counseling orientation was the second. This is similar to a macro center, except with a lot fewer career services. The third was just general level service, a lot broader functions, including some death of students type functions, more services to more students than a conventional counseling center. The fourth was career planning and placement center. This was career-oriented services with minimal counseling and other functions. And the fifth one, minimal service, characterized by providing minimal services in all areas.
Hey guys, it's Molly, and I'm going to be talking about the career competencies in adulthood. So the National Career Development Guidelines, or NCDG, are for post-secondary students to help them manage their careers. It was developed by the National Occupation Information Coordinating Committee, and it was separated into 3 main domains: the personal social development, the educational achievement and lifelong learning, and career management. The personal social development is where you develop an understanding of self, which means that you are developing a positive self-concept, and it is an accurate understanding of your strengths, interests, abilities, and values, and how those affect your career decisions. And they do this through a use of self-assessment activities. And then the second one is positive interpersonal skills, and it just means that you have, for example, you have respect for diversity, and you have positive self-care things that you do to help yourself out with like stress and whatnot, and you just are able to integrate those self-care things into your everyday life. The third one is integrate growth and change into career development. The fourth one is balance all aspects of your life, so you are able to balance your personal, your social life, all of the things that go into your life that could potentially affect your career. The second one is educational achievement and lifelong learning, as I said before. And so it basically has 2 goals. First one, attaining educational achievement and performance skills needed to reach your personal and career goals. And the second one is participating in experiences to enhance your ability to function in a diverse and changing economy. And it's important to note that your self-concepts change over time. And so the career practitioners have to use interventions to help develop this knowledge as your self-concept changes. And one example that they do this is through job shadowing, where they do 3 to 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days where they can use their own personal, educational, and career planning skills in a work environment that they potentially see themselves in. And then the third one, as I mentioned before, was career management. And so the goals of that are to create and manage a career plan that meets your goals, the process of decision making as a component, your accurate, current, and unbiased career information throughout planning and management. You gain skills in academic, occupational, and general employability to advance and maintain your career. You integrate changing employment, societal, and economic trends into career plans. And you have skills to manage the transitions and they're imperative to maintaining and advancing your career plans. So you need to be able to adapt to those changes that you're going to most likely face whenever you go into a career. And then the career practitioners help in these goals through individual and group counseling, along with workshops and career planning courses.
I'm Ms. Page, and I will be presenting on the models, services, and standards for career development interventions in higher education. So first, we're going to discuss the models used when doing career development in higher education. So it's important that there are systematic and comprehensive models of service delivery because they're used to effectively develop competencies essential for managing one's career in adulthood. So the typical career development process in higher education is exploring a variety of options, then crystallizing a narrow range of specific options. Then the student makes a commitment to a particular choice and specifies their college major, and then they implement that selected option. They get their degree, they use their major, and that is the typical career development process. Career development professionals help students progress through this process by first giving students assessments to determine their needs and offering group and individual interventions based on the student needs that are found in these assessments. They also will further assess development by re-administering assessments at regular intervals. The book recommended a 6-month interval just to see if these students are still on track, if the characteristics and interests that were originally outlined in the assessments are still relevant, and just make sure that they're not taking one assessment and living by it without making sure they're reassessing. So the main model that is outlined in this chapter is the Powell and Kurtz systems approach. This approach focuses on providing an awareness programming to students. And awareness programming involves giving all new students an overview of career services. So there are 4 phases in this model. The first phase is meetings. In large group meetings, this would be with all new students. Career service staff and upper level students describe the career development process and outline career services available to help students advance in their careers. This would be comparable to convocation during the first week of school for new students. Then following that first main meeting with all students are voluntary small group meetings. Now these small group meetings are recommended to be 30 people or less, and they allow for students to ask specific questions and learn about the career services in more detail. Phase 2 is the self-assessment activities. Powell and Kurtz recommend offering small groups where students watch a video of upper class students discussing the ways career services has been helpful. After watching these videos, students will then use the information from these videos to identify what resources would be most helpful for them. So this is more of a self-reflection on the part of the student, where after seeing what was helpful for the upper class students, they can see what would most likely be most helpful for them individually. Phase 3 is then that active engagement in career exploration. So career exploration activities are offered to help students integrate their self-assessment information and occupational information. This phase focuses on merging that career counseling with traditional career placement functions. And Powell and Kurtz recommend using career courses with alumni and local business leaders to link that education and career information. So whether that be setting up meetings with professionals in the field that students are thinking of going into, or spending a day shadowing somebody in the field. This would be that active engagement in that career exploration to see if their interests are now matching what that active lifestyle in that career would look like. And then phase 4, the final phase of this model, is training. This phase includes job search training to students who are approaching graduation. So this is for students in their final year of schooling. And much like phase 1, it is a large group meeting with all students that are about to graduate to teach them how to do an effective job search and what that would look like. And then, like I said, just like phase 1, this is followed by voluntary small group meetings to help narrow down any questions students may have after the large group meeting. So because this phase is so similar to phase 1, it is a full circle bringing the Powell-Kurtz model just right back to where it started in a more advanced stage on the part of the student. So next we're going to discuss services. There are 4 major approaches used for delivering career services to students in higher education. So the first is courses, workshops, and seminars that offer structured group experiences in topics such as career decision making, career planning, and job search skills. The second one is group counseling activities directed towards students experiencing issues such as indecision, career indecisiveness, and anxiety related to job searches. And then the third one is individual career counseling, where students will get one-on-one counseling to figure out what their needs are, what their concerns are, etc. The fourth approach is placement programs. This is either on-campus or online job interviewing. An example for UMKC would be the career fairs. We have a lot. So a big part of services in recent years has been kind of shifting over to internet-based career service planning, and those offer services ranging from career decision making all the way to career placement. And social media sites have a big hand in career services. LinkedIn is one that was outlined in our textbook because it provides online career services that are appealing to students and alumni. It provides a network where you can connect with professionals, where you can do get some information on careers, and it really helps in the career development stage in the form of social media, making it very approachable for many people. One issue that the textbook did outline is some career services relying too heavily on one either face-to-face or technology-based career services. However, career services should be a blend of technology and face-to-face interaction. Technology can provide the important career connections and access to abundance of career development, especially in this higher education setting where you may have students that are looking to travel out of the city or out of the state once they graduate, and they can connect with people all over the country and all over the world. However, that one-to-one direct contact with people can provide empathy, and more individual student needs can be addressed in an in-person setting. Career services can be focused on a multitude of different subjects. In a study of 302 educational institutions, it was found that there are 31 unique categories that career services were focusing on to delivering to their students. So the main perspectives of career services in higher education are providing students with assistance in selecting their major field of study, providing assistance in self-assessment and self-analysis, providing assistance in understanding the world of work, providing assistance in decision-making, and providing assistance and access to the world of work. The other perspective is providing assistance that addresses unique needs of various subpopulations of students, because as we know in career development, it is not a one-size-fits-all. So it's important that there are areas that can be more tailored to each student and their specific background. Next, we're going to go over the standards of career development in higher education. So standards provide useful guidelines for delivering career development interventions in higher education. The Council for the Advancement of Standards in Higher Education is a consortium of professional associations in higher education that collectively devised and published standards and guidelines. And these standards and guidelines are a document that recommend criteria for student services in colleges and universities. So the CAS standards mission for career service centers is as follows: assisting students and other designated clients in developing, evaluating, and implementing career, education, and employment plans. Career services must provide, by these standards, career advising, counseling, education, information and resources on careers and further study, opportunities for career exploration through experimental education, job search services, graduate and professional school or further education planning, employer relations and recruitment services, and consultation services to faculty and administrators. So, some of the topics that are essential to the day-to-day operation of career services as outlined by Cass are leadership, organization management, human resources, financial resources, technology, facilities and equipment, legal responsibilities, equity and access, campus and external regulations, diversity, ethics, and assessment and evaluation. So the day-to-day operation topics that are outlined by Cass are outlined because it is said that a helpful and well-running career services will be able to have all of these topics because they can then pass those skills on to the students that they are helping in the career services department. And Cass standards reflect that career services in higher education extend throughout the campus and beyond. It is not just one department, it is not just one office. Collaboration with campus departments and businesses in the community are instrumental in an impactful career development for students in higher education.
Hi guys, my name is Allison and I'm going to be talking about the section of managing career services in higher education. Something that's important is the organizational structure of the career services operation because it really influences the planning and delivery of career services in the higher ed settings. One issue that is common is the influence of the delivery of career services in higher ed and whether it should be centralized or decentralized. So whether there should be like one main place on campus or like at a certain institution where all the career services are given and provided, or if they should be decentralized where it can be found at many different places at the institution, like in many different buildings and in a lot of different settings. Most institutions provide a combo of both because there's advantages to both, because if they're decentralized, they're a lot more like prevalent throughout the campus and they can like reach more students, and if they're centralized, they're probably more like on the same page, and so it's a little bit more organized. And so there's advantages and disadvantages to both. Another issue is how the structure of career services is set up based on the institution. So whether the chief academic administrator or the vice president of student services is in charge of them. Usually if the chief academic administrator is usually, if they're in charge, it's usually more aligned with the enterprise of the institution and like more set along the university's values. But if the vice president is more in charge, they're more knowledgeable about all the career services that are offered on campus, and can just like provide more of like a service type basis on that. And there's also a section about Raymond's 10 imperatives for career counseling services and higher education. Basically, it's kind of just like his 10 guidelines that he thinks that institutions should think about when they're providing career services. So I'll just go down the list. They must acknowledge the lifelong process of career development and initiate programs and services that help students take control of their own careers. Must accept and embrace technology to help free up more time for things that require human sensitivity. Must refine and strengthen their professional identity and career services within the institution. Must acknowledge that individual career counseling is the core of the profession and must work to enhance it. Must create cooperative relationships between many people and groups on campus to build a collaborative relationship to enhance student career development. Must adapt to meet the changing needs of career development in an increasing diverse student body. Must focus on the quality of career services and not the funding given from corporate America to the institution. Must accept that on-campus recruiting is in the past and work on new ways to facilitate the transition from college to work. Must resolve ambiguities that exist in the role of delivering alumni career services and make sure that Alumni Association has the resources that they need to make that available. And must advocate for effective resources to maintain and increase student career development and be more innovative with the existing resources. And the chapter also includes a case study at the end of the chapter. So Allison is a 21-year-old junior at a large Midwestern university, and she's the youngest of 4 kids. She's originally from New Orleans, but she moved to Alabama after Katrina, which hit during her freshman year of college. She is seeking career counseling at her university's Career Center, and she enjoys writing, she cares about the environment, and she likes working with children and the elderly. She knows that she wants to help people because of her experience with Katrina. She was struggling to choose a major, but she decided on history and French, but she's not sure about it. She's not involved in any extracurriculars, and she also shows interest in counseling during the session that she's having at the Career Center. So some of the questions that the chapter asks is, what are Allison's career development needs? What career theories would be most helpful to understand her situation? Are there any challenges you would experience in trying to understand her situation? What steps would you take to help her? And I'll just kind of let you guys think about that. Thank you for listening to our presentation.